All right, so this would be the third of three talking about World War One and our involvement there. I was talking about Wilson stepping in, Wilson's 14 points, about the United States actually winning or helping to win the war, pardon me. Something that's important to hit before that and why it gets desperate that we have to be in. What's going to happen is that Russia is going to run into a problem. Early on in the war, they're not doing well. They're not ready. They have a civil uprising. That civil uprising becomes the communist revolution. And you're going to see in the book, it talks about Lenin, it talks about Trotsky, it talks about the communist revolution. And what happens is you're going to have this communist overthrow, willing and unwilling, of the czarist government. And what will happen is Lenin and the communists will take over, and then they will withdraw. They will sign a treaty, and the treaty will allow Russia to surrender a whole chunk of territory to Germany, but then it allows them to bow out of the war. This is significant because what it does is it gets rid of the whole Eastern Front and allows Germany to instead focus on the Western Front. So it's going to be dire for France and Great Britain until we come along at that particular point. So make sure that you're up on that. What happens is this. Wilson's going to present his 14 points. Germany is going to know they are losing, and so they're going to start petitioning for an armistice, for a treaty that says, hey, we didn't lose, you didn't win, but we just want the heck out of the war. And we're going to work on pursuing that. We're going to have more or less a draw. We're going to go ahead and have the Paris Peace Conference. Wilson's going to do an unusual thing. He's going to, as a sitting president, go and work on negotiating the treaty personally. He is one of the big four. And the big four, who you have to know, the big four are going to be Orlando, who is with Italy. It is going to be, Chamberlain, who is with Great Britain, or pardon me, David Lloyd George, who is with Great Britain, and Clemenceau, who is with France, and of course Wilson. And what they're going to do is they're going to go ahead and hammer out a treaty. The problem is the smartest man at the table is Clemenceau from France. He is going to determine that really out of the 14 points that Wilson had, he really only wants one. He wants that League of Nations. And so what he will do is his strategy is to force Wilson to give everything else up. He wants to punish Germany and make it impossible for Germany ever to stage another war. And so what he's going to do is he's going to hammer into the Treaty of Versailles something called Article 231, which is the German War Guilt Clause. You got to remember that German War Guilt Clause, because it says, Germany, this entire war was your fault, and you have to pay for it. We're also going to refuse to negotiate with the czar and say, listen, we don't want this monarchical government. We don't want this absolutist deal that's going on. We want the people to agree. So we're going to force them to disband their government and form a new Republican government, which is going to be named the Weimar Republic. It's still going to be Germany, but it's going to be the Weimar Republic. And the first thing they get to do is sign this atrocious treaty, nicknamed, or actually named, the Treaty of Versailles. The Paris Peace Conference gives us the Treaty of Versailles, which is a horrible treaty. It is stacked up with reparations that Germany has to pay. It's going to be economically infeasible. It's going to put huge restrictions on the military. It's going to take chunks of land away from them and punish them in such a way. It's going to cause enough discord that it's going to be the trigger that allows or encourages World War II. Now, the other thing the book is talking about is going to be not only about the communist revolution in Russia, but it's going to talk about the struggle between the Communist Party and the Nationalist Party in China, and about the face-off between them, because they are already arguing before the war. But what will happen is this will take and aggravate the problem. It exacerbates the problem in such a way. And so it talks about the resolution to that. What we have to know is at the end of all this, we signed this treaty for the Great War, for the war to end all wars. And then what's going to happen is everyone is going to take their stuff and go home. And unfortunately, shortly thereafter, although we think life is a grand party, what will happen is all hell will break loose, because what will happen is the bottom will drop out of the stock market, the entire world will tip into the Great Depression, and just all heck breaks loose. But I will leave it at that for the next chapter. Meanwhile, just go ahead and finish your work, and I hope this helps. Thanks.